Good morning to distinguished panelists and the guests that are here. And thank you for having me. Tourism in the Gambia is a key engine of the Gambia's economy. When visitors come, their spending goes beyond the hotels and tour operators, and they flow through the wider economy of the Gambia. Tourism creates direct jobs in hotels, restaurants, transport, and indirect jobs for farmers, fishermen, market vendors, and small businesses that supply goods and services. For many families, tourism income help daily needs, such as school fees, healthcare, etc. Nationally, tourism in the Gambia brings foreign currency and tax revenue, which is needed for essential import and public service. So overall, for the Gambia, tourism is not just about holidays. It is a vital source of livelihood and economic stability for the country.
Understood. Thank you for making that clear. Next, I wanted to move to Simon, the Hilton. So you oversee 1,500 hotels across 96 markets in the EMEA regions, and you're opening a new hotel in the region every week. From that scale, what most determines whether tourism truly drives local growth?
Well, listen, it's a pleasure to be here this morning. I should say Hilton globally operates over 9,000 hotels, employs 500,000 people, operates hotels in 140 countries across 26 brands. I run one of the three main operating regions within that. And I think each of those hotels, each of those 9,000 hotels is an engine of growth and opportunity in the local economies in which they operate. And we are, clearly very influential in terms of driving infrastructure growth, in terms of creating employment, in terms of connecting to the local communities, and indeed working with local supply chains. And so it really is, each hotel is an engine of opportunity and an engine of growth in that respect. Very good example of our work with the local supply chains would be in the UAE, where we work with an agri-tech platform that gets local individual suppliers onto that platform and able to supply the Hilton hotels that operate in the UAE. And we're all about, connecting with local communities, creating employment, creating opportunity, upskilling, training people, and helping people enter the workplace and create value and create personal wealth.
Understood. Thank you, Simon, for that. I'm moving on to Your Excellency, Marcio. So Angola has natural beauty, culture, and history. What's the biggest barrier you're breaking right now to increase the number of tourists in the country and the tourism sector in general?
Yes, thank you very much. So Angola, as many African countries, are facing two main challenges. One is, as you know, Africa is one of the continents with the largest lack of infrastructure investment. So, thank you very much. So this lack of infrastructure demands, in terms of doing business environment creation, to prepare the field for the investors come and flourish in our continent. We believe that the most responsibility is in our side to create the best environment for doing business and create bankable projects for the investors go. Angola is doing this work. Recently, we have approved €500 million for infrastructure area to create the roads, the power, electricity, water supply, sanitation, in order to the investors go and create the hospitality industry. Another challenging that Africa in general, but Angola in special fields, is that, as you know, Africa is the continent with the biggest growth population in the earth.
Yes, yes.
And the youngest population in the earth. So that demands, in terms of job creation, an industry that can absorb that capacity that the continent has. So sectors like tourism has a great role to play in order to absorb this capacity
Yes.
of manpower. So I believe that those are the two main challenges that we are facing now in order to create one of the biggest industry in the continent.
But speaking of challenges and Africa as a continent, Mr. Reininger, I wanted to move on to you. Africa is often described as the next frontier for luxury tourism. From your perspectives at the Four Seasons, what makes the continent genuinely unique as a market, and what needs to happen for its tourism potential to reach the maximum that it can?
Thank you very much, and esteemed panel colleagues, and good morning in the audience. Perhaps just to follow very briefly and to introduce Four Seasons versus Hilton. We're a rather small organization with 135 hotels around the globe, 57 private residences in 47 different countries. Coming a little closer here, 25 of which we operate what we call the Middle East and Africa region, 13 of those specifically in Africa. And Africa is a particularly interesting continent for us, even more so with the projections that we have as to our growth in the year to come. We've seen that what is defined as the luxury or ultra-luxury segment, that there's enormous interest in true authenticity, in experiences, in many ways an overused word by now, but still it's about creating these special moments. And Africa, with its diversity, but also originality, provides a particular context for us to deliver that content. And so we're very eager to grow thoughtfully, one hotel at a time, in that region. And we're doing that because we see the requests by our clients, the interest to be there, to learn more, and to not just have individual aspects of a journey, but a whole story that unfolds, memories that they take back. And there's so much potential in this continent that we want to make sure we take greater advantage of.
Speaking of the potential of the continent, Your Excellency Abdulli, you know, tourism and tourists, it often depends on seasons, right? So what's the boldest idea that you're working on to make tourism income more stable year-round? Is it experiences maybe like that what was just mentioned? And also so communities aren't vulnerable when visitors are slowing down coming to the country?
Yeah, thank you very much. For us at the Smiling Coast of Africa, the boldest idea we are working on currently is to reduce tourism dependence on one season and one market. And this we're doing through diversifying both who visits and when they visit. I mean, what we're doing is we're expanding our source market beyond traditional European winter travelers to include regional travelers, diasporans, long-term guests, special interest travelers, wellness tourism, resorts people. At the same time, we are repositioning what we normally call the green season as a strength, offering cultural events, ecotourism, river experience, because we have a majestic river with a lot of natural resources. We're also encouraging international tour operators and hotel brands to come and operate hotels in the Gambia, resorts, lodges, giving them greater control to create year-round products and stable employment. Our aim is very simple in that special tourism income across the calendar, so communities are less vulnerable when visitors' numbers go down. So,
Simon, Mr. Abdoui just mentioned, one of the main goals is bringing in, big hotel brands into the country. So my question has to be, when Hilton considers growth in a destination, what policy or partnership signals give you, a positive note to enter that country and also to secure local growth as well, if that's a goal at the Hilton?
Yeah, look, I think where we see tourism as a key, fundamental strategy and an important economic segment for a particular government, that sends us a good sign. So I think any government that's got a long-term approach and a long-term plan for tourism is a positive for us. And I think, we like to work in partnership with governments, on planning, on construction, on regulation. Financing can be an issue, so working in collaboration with our partners, making sure that there's equity and debt financing available. All those things help the decision to enter a particular market and to give us confidence that the market is sustainable, that there is demand generation opportunity there, and equally that there's a good supply of labour that's well educated, well trained, and that we can work collaboratively with governments in helping them meet both their longer term objectives and our own business objective.
Yeah, understood. Your Excellency, Mauricio, speaking about all these objectives, hotels coming in, big projects. Usually we hear about all these big projects and names in the tourism sector. But how do you make sure tourism growth also creates real opportunities for local entrepreneurs and youth in the country, in Angola?
Yeah, this is one of the main challenges that we have, to create a combination of foreign direct investment with the local investors that are already doing business in the industry. That's the main challenge. I would say most of the Angola entrepreneurs are working directly with some big international brands. As you know, we recently have announced that a local investor is partnered with Hilton.
Indeed, we have 4 hotels, I think, in our pipeline in Angola. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are local investors.
Yes.
Partnering with Hilton. We are also in discussion with the Four Seasons. So we believe that this is the way to include the big atmosphere of tourism and at the same time benefit the locals, investors. And it will help to internationalize the Angolan economy, bringing expertise from abroad to modernize the way that the locals are doing business, are managing the companies, bringing those kind of expertise. So, and I believe that this is the way. We are not just in creating these projects, and Angola is very focused on creating the infrastructure on the areas. We are a country with a very diversified tourist products.
Yeah.
We have since desert to tropical forest, 1,650 kilometers of wild coast. And taking the notes of the Four Seasons representative says is that the post-COVID travel profile is the travelers are seeking now for authenticity.
Yeah.
Where when they travel to experience, and this kind of destination known to be an explored destination, an undeveloped destination, are the ones that can have an advantage on attraction to those international brands.
Very insightful. Thank you for that. And speaking of luxury hotels, Rainer, from your experience, What's one thing that destinations often underestimate when it comes to luxury tourism as a real engine for local growth, or even just bringing them into the country? What's one misconception that they have?
We're relevantly looking at scale versus value. And we're seeing greater attentiveness toward that proposition that value can bring. When I look just from history, when we entered Nevis, St. Kitts, smaller island, but we truly helped that country onto the world map, in humbly put, but that's pretty much a fact. We helped with other destinations many, many years ago in Koh Samui in Thailand, an island that wasn't all that well known. And today, that island achieves room rates and has a popularity ratio that wasn't thinkable, frankly, 10, 15 years ago even. There are other examples when we entered Sharm el-Sheikh and a little closer to this market.
My country.
Here, a little closer here in Egypt. And what we see is with our clients, right, it's the starting point is all about safety and access.
Safety, okay.
And we do see, and again, we don't want to overestimate our own role, but we do see that the Four Seasons customer says, all right, if they have a hotel there, I feel safe. It gives me a sense of reliability, and I know I'm being cared for. And that then projects, of course, the value that it drives locally with education. Ultimately, it's the local business, so we're hiring locally, we're relevantly supporting local vendors. And so there are a good number of dimensions that, with that exposure to a very elevated market, truly can make a relevant difference for that destination.
Yeah, understood. Thank you. This last question is for everyone, and I'm going to start with you, Mr. Abdouli. So if you could give, let's say, for the government side, hotel operators, one piece of advice on making tourism a lasting engine of local growth and working together with the country, what would you give? And for you, gentlemen, what advice would you give governments on making tourism partnerships positive and have a lasting impact? So we'll start from here.
Yeah, just I align with what Mario said. You know, it has to be, for it to be truly local, there must be partnership, you know, through public-private partnership. You know, you look at local experience and expertise blended with international resource and, you know, experience and ability. And I think if we do that, we'll be able to propel our tourism sector.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Marcio?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, this is a time for opportunity. The conditions in my country has been created. We have huge potential. The infrastructures are there. We are one of the safest countries in the region. With a very well interconnected in terms of aviation, and with a very flexible visa-free policy. So with this combination, we believe that we are finally a good destination for investment and for visitors. Visit Angola.
Mr. Rainer?
We clearly have great alignment here. And so, again, access, visas, how do you enter a country? How welcome do you feel is key? From there, if I were to highlight one, I think it's education of the local workforce to help us to employ those locally that we need in order to deliver the service that we promise.
Simon, you're nodding your head as well.
Yeah, totally. For me, it's about having clear vision, clear strategy,
Yeah.
and capability to execute across many disciplines. There are, you know, it's a multifaceted industry that we work in. I think it's a huge engine for growth, and I think countries that get it right will thrive. There's no question about it.
Thank you so much for this insightful panel. I personally learned a lot, and I want to thank you guys for sharing, and thank you for joining us today on this panel. Thank you.
Thank you.